That's good to know. All right, so once again, we are welcome back from the short break, and I believe we are refreshed, like I said earlier. Okay, so we're looking at the case scenario and the case study exams. This comprises a scene or a scenario package that involves a series of exhibits. So you have like exhibit 1 to 7 or 8 in the pre-scene, then exhibit 7, exhibit 8 to 14, 15, depending on the volume, on the main exams in the scene. So it's very important we understand that these exhibits contain a mixture of information. Some of them will be mainly narrative, maybe an email from your boss on the industry overview of the company you are looking at. Others will be largely numerical, maybe a set of financial statements, 3-year financial summary, depending on which of the financial statement is provided, the SCI, the SFP, the SCF, notes to the account. Largely, these are the predominant financials provided mainly in requirement 1. And also a reminder of a mixture of the two, numerical financial information or financial data, IFRSs, financial data involving performance management tools that you use, like the NPV analysis, and most of the management accounting tools, Also information on legal documents, current press releases, recent or current issues in the economy, trending issues could be presented as exhibits, as data for you to work on. So aside numerical, you also have non-numerical data to work on in the case scenario. So within the case scenario package, you'll be provided with this information, who you are. So you'll be wearing the hat of a particular person in the exams, not your present name or your current name. So you are a particular person working for a firm or an employer, and your role in working for this, your client or business, and you'll be presented with the commercial sector in which your client or business operates. Which industry? Is it pharmaceutical? Is it hospitality? Is it healthcare? Is it banking? So the case scenario will give you this information. Also, the financial, operational, and commercial information about your client and business will also be presented in the case. Now, the business environment, internal and external, the strategies of your employer or your client will be given to you in the case scenario also. Other information like the customers of the business, the suppliers, potential acquirers, if it's an acquisition or a merger or a target, will also be presented in the case scenario for you. So largely the exhibits presented have a variety of formats or styles. So there are maybe internal memos, external memos, surveys conducted by maybe an external industry consultant, or a letter from a public company or an authority, etc. So the exhibit comes in different forms and styles. Now, the exhibit will also operate together to form a whole picture. So where you have exhibit 1 to exhibit 15 or 14, now there will be connections with those exhibits, connections and perhaps contradictions, which you will need to evaluate and sort out by yourselves as you attempt to write your report. Take note of that. So the numerical material could be formed, and you'll be familiar as you practice with current IFRSs. So the material could come up with current IFRSs like we have currently in the pipeline, IFRS 18, that will be replacing IAS 1. So the examiner can decide to test that, even though it's not examinable currently till the IFRS is issued. So you have IFRS 17, insurance contract, IFRS 16, leases. So any of these could form part of your numerical material in the case study exams. Okay, so frequently the financial information shown as management accounts, maybe in Exhibit 2, in Requirement 2, or extracts from financial statements for ease of presentation with appropriate detail will also be given to you in the exams. So the fact that the case material presented has to be considered as a whole in answering case study requirement is a major difference from other papers or assessment. So you need to merge the whole exhibits together, read them, comprehend them, decipher what you are needed or required to do. Shows a major difference on how to deal with these materials in the exams. Okay, so the volume of the material requires a structured approach in terms of reading and assimilating. So you are given a time structure which you'll be looking at. So in dealing with the material, you need to be able to read. Maybe to be able to read. A lot of people get bored reading the exhibits, but then reading the exhibits lies within the exhibit lies the data you need to write your report. So you need to read, assimilate, understand before attempting the requirements. So people that don't like reading, I understand most accountants like calculation. The case study, it's a reading and a writing exams. So if you don't like reading and writing, you need to work on yourself if you want to pass case study. This is very important. Okay, also in dealing with the material, it is essential that you develop a structured approach to enable you maximize the chance of success. So some of these approaches are always start by reading the case study examination requirement. So in the unseen, once you take your question paper has been given to you, please go and read the requirements before you read the unseen exhibits. Read the requirements, note your role. From the pre-seen, you already know your role. So in the unseen, you should know the requirements and the recipient of your report, either the board of directors, which is if it's an external report, or your supervisor, if it's an internal report for who you are working with. We'll be looking at that in subsequent chapters. Also, in dealing with the material, you need to read rapidly and very fast through the entire case study or the exhibits to establish the key contents and materials or parameters of the information supply. So everything is not important in the case, but then you need to read everything to know and see which ones are important and which ones are unimportant. This is a key skill. You also need to reread the requirements again so that it resonates with you and you understand what you are required to do, what the examiner wants you to do. Break down your task in constituent components as much as possible. So don't carry the whole exhibits and swallow it or regurgitate it. You should be able to break them down. Which one is required for which section, which one is required for which components of the report. I'll be showing us the structure and the format of the report as we go on. Also, reread the case study scenario exhibits one by one. So where you have the pre-seen 7 exhibits, then maybe the unseen 8, forming 15. Please read everything one by one and start taking note on a separate sheet of paper the key facts of each exhibit. You can underline on the question paper. I believe ICAN examiners will allow you to underline on the question paper so that because of the volume of the material, as you have read from exhibit 1, by the time you get to the last exhibit, maybe you have forgotten all you read, but what you noted, you'll come back and meet them in putting together your thoughts in crafting your report. So also reread the numerical exhibits carefully as the first step in your financial analysis. So the numerical exhibits are the financial statements or the financial data. Read them. Reread them, understand what they mean, underline, take note of the calculations, the ratios, the financial data, whatever model it is you need to use to do your calculation. So reread the numerical exhibits very carefully. And then you start your analytical work. Start analyzing, start writing, start calculating. Your analytical work should have, you have to perform in the exams, should involve a process which you have learned. So from practice and development, which is a fundamental part of our preparation, we'll be looking at not exams. It will help you harness and develop your analytical skills. Analytical skills cannot be developed a week or a month to the exams. It needs to be ongoing practice, so that you get used to it. As a result of your preparation, you'll be able to follow a clear and consistent pathway in your analysis and considerations of the issues in the case study or the exhibits. Now, these analytical skills and techniques can be developed by practicing on real CAED files, pilot case studies, and previous case study papers. So the reports you prepare in your office are exhibits, they are materials, pilot case studies, and like the 21 editions, in my opinion, is enough. If you can practice at least 5 under time conditions, I assure you, you will pass the case study seamlessly. Write 5, do 5 mock exams, or minimum 3 before the exams. You will pass the case study seamlessly if you understand and you wrote those mocks very, very objectively. So the steps to follow, which includes or should be practiced as an essential part of your preparation, can be also broadly listed in these 5 main headings. Number 1, assimilation of data and information. Number 2, financial statement analysis. That means you understand the financial story in the exhibits. Number 3, financial data analysis. You understand the non-financial data structured around IFRS, the SCI, the SFP, and the SCF within the context of the case. Then operational and strategic analysis, understanding the strategic context, which is number 4. Then number 5, you develop industry and business awareness, your acumen, and also include ethical considerations. What are the key infringements, the challenges, the critical matters in the case? So these 5 skills are very important. They are very good steps to be able to profile or write a good report. So as part of the process of developing the skills and expertise in this case study analytical process, these brief sample questions are here or given to you to ask. You'll be able to ask these sample questions or matters that could be considered under each of the headings. That is number 1, assimilation of the data and the information provided. What is your role? So you should be able to ask this question. Now, what is your role in the case? What sort of organization is the business you're analyzing? What commercial, organizational, ethical issues are concerned in the business? So as you are reading the exhibits, you are taking note of these questions. Then the financial statement analysis. Is the business making profit? Is it marginally making profits or is making losses? Marginal profits mean very, very low profits, close to losses or break even. To ask what are the main revenue streams as you're underlining in the financial statements. How does the business make profit? If it's making profit or losses, why? What is driving those profits? What are the key drivers of the profit? So these are things you should take note as you are reading the financial statements and you're noting down. Also, when you look at the SFP, is it strong or weak? A strong SFP is driven by investment in assets and also owner's equity. A weak SFP is one driven by liabilities, that's debt. So you should be able to take note of this. You ask, what is the financial structure of the business? Is it highly geared? Is it lowly geared? A highly geared business is one driven by debt, borrowing, external borrowing, while a lowly geared is one driven by capital, owner's equity, the owners of the business. So you look at the balance in the financial structure of the business to be able to come up with your analytical skills. This is very important. You also ask that, is the business generating or absorbing cash? Absorbing cash in the sense that the cash generated, is it sufficient to run the business on a day-to-day basis? Then what is the future prospects of the client or the employer? Future prospects in the sense that what is their strategic oversight? What is their plan, long-term, short-term? Look at that. From the exhibit, you should be able to decipher that this business is futuristic in their approach. Then the financial data analysis should be able to ask that, what other financial information is provided apart from the main financial statements? So you are looking at mostly requirement 2, and this is where the examiner pimps the question. He makes it very pepperish and very, 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 very hard for you to decipher. The financial statement analysis may be easy, but the financial data analysis, I can assure you, in requirement 2 is always pepperish. So practicing this area and also deciphering the statements that are not financial is key. So you should be able to ask questions like, what other information is provided? I need to analyze. You also ask what key related non-financial factors are provided, like legal documents, tenders, sustainability issues, other issues that are non-financial, ESG, so many new current issues that could be asked in the financial data analysis. You ask yourself also, what other numerical details are being provided for considerations? Are there budgets, forecasts, pricing parameters for tenders? So some of these have been tested in the past where the examiner brought forecasts and budgets. So looking at those past questions, you should be able to relate and address any of these exhibits or these questions or requirements when they are presented to you. So you also ask what key assumptions for the additional financial or non-financial factors are provided. So the key assumptions, whether the business is assumed to be this, based on your own judgment and reservations, should be provided by you. So you are free to assume. Assumptions will help you aid your conclusions, your deliberations, and your recommendations. So you are allowed to assume in the exam and also communicate your assumptions in writing. Then also ask, what are the identifiable critical factors, whether success factors, failure factors, concerning the data provided? So what are dates, deadlines, tipping points? So where you have dates and deadlines, maybe compliance issues where you're supposed to remit a particular statutory obligation and you've not done that. So key issues like that. Tipping points mean, what are those points where it will help the company leverage the decision to be able to avert catastrophe? So tipping points will help also in your analysis and thought communication when you are communicating your thoughts. So dates, deadline, tipping points should be taken note of as critical success factors as you read and you are preparing your report. Okay, still looking at your analytical skills, what are the operational and strategic analysis? You ask yourself, where is the business in its life cycle? Is it a startup? Is it growing? Is it declining? Is it dying? Are you supposed to kill the product? What generic issues, organic issues bedevils the company? What are the cost drivers, revenue drivers? What is eating up the company organically? You should look at these issues and address them or take note of them. Also, what are the specific potential strategic issues facing this business at this point? Look at the business strengths and weaknesses. These are internal issues, business strengths and weakness, while external issues are opportunities and threats. So you should be able to address them, look at them critically. In the last diet, he asked about SWOT in one of his requirements. So the examiner may test that. So take note of it. Now, also considering the industry where the business is domiciled, what are the business and ethical awareness in that sector? What are the known and obvious current industry issues? So where you have banking regulations that have been promulgated and pronounced by CBN, if it's a banking industry, what are the current banking laws that are prevalent? And every other industry the company is operating. Like in the last diet, he tested in hospitality business. So you look at what is prevalent in the hospitality business currently, and you ask for the known or the obvious issues there. You also ask that what are the top companies doing, rivals, competitors? What are current topical issues? What are the potential ethical issues also in that company sector, its industry? And what are similar companies also doing? You also ask, how can you use your experience in the office? Most of us are accountants, auditors. Leveraging your experience currently where you work, how can you use it in the case study exam? Because it's very essential. Your experience is key and cannot be thrown away like that. So in the case study exam, your experience in the office, you can use it to write based on the case scenario at hand. You also ask, what are the opportunities and potential threats? That's the external business environment I spoke about. Strength and weakness is internal, why opportunities and threats are external. You ask these questions and identify them. Also, what are the business competitive edge and core competencies? What do they do? What do they have a niche that another company does not have? What is their niche? What niche have they covered? What is their competitive advantage? So from reading the exhibits, you should be able to come up with answers to these questions. As you question, you see answers as you are reading through. Also, we'll be looking at the fourth section in this second unit. The specific requirement for each exams is set out in the following example. So for those that are attempting the exams for the first time, there are specific ways the requirement is tested. So we'll look at an example of that relates to the report of a client. So you just hear required. You are required to prepare a draft report as set out in the email from your partner in your firm to you. Your report should comprise the following elements. And requirement 1, your responses to the 2 detailed requirements are set out in Exhibit 1 to Exhibit 8, including financial appendices as required. So this is how the specimen way of the requirement or how it's presented to you. So they will say you should state clearly your assumptions that are made, and your workings should be attached to your answer. By no means should you not attach workings or appendices to your answer. And another way it's presented is your responses to the 2 detailed requirements are set out in Exhibit X or Exhibit 1 to 5, including financial appendices as required. So you'll be asked to state clearly your assumptions, and all workings should be attached, which is your appendix that comes last. Okay, so your report should be balanced across the detailed requirements based on the following time allocation or suggestion. So there's a suggestion by the examiner to structure your report this way. So in reading and planning, which is very important, reading and planning is key. You have 1 hour. The exam is a 4-hour exams. So based on the requirement, you should be able to plan. As you are reading, you are taking note and planning how to frame and communicate your report or communicate your thoughts. So 1 hour should do that. As a matter of fact, I advise students to read and plan for 45 minutes. Also performing calculations and analysis. After you've read and planned, you have to do your exhibits, or you do have to calculate your numerical data in your appendices, which is the basis which you write. That one too should be 45 minutes in my opinion, so that you have enough time to draft the report, because the report carries the chunk of the marks. So if you do 45 minutes for reading and planning, and for calculation and analysis, you do another 45 minutes, you have 90 minutes. Then for your report, you should be able to give it 2 hours, 30 minutes. Because writing the report, you may not have time, because the volume, especially of the body of the work, matters before you do your summary. And that will give you an edge in impressing the examiner. So marks, reading and planning 1 hour, marks or maximum performing your calculations 1 hour. And don't forget, accuracy is not the key in your calculations. Having a basis to write is the key. So trying to balance your ratios or whatever it is accurately or requirement 2, which under exam condition is practically impossible. So just have a basis to write, and please go and write. Your writing is where the marks are, not in your calculation. So please take note of that. So this structured 4 hours or format and how you allocate the 4 hours is key. Now, this time allocation is just a suggestion. So different students have their own ways by which they use. So it's a suggestion and it's not a hard and fast rule. So when you come to the real exam, you should have a method that works for you. So do what works for you, leverage on that. The most important thing is to pass the exam. That is key. So the key points is that 2 detailed requirements carry equal marks. So lately, some people said, the examiner asked 3 requirements, 4 requirements. No, he just developed babies from the other requirements. Like in the last exam, somebody said it's 3 requirements. I said, no, they are just 2. He just expanded them. He expanded. So you have 2 equal requirements. with equal weights and equal marks. So take note of that. All right, so on the screen, you see an example of a more detailed time schedule suggested by the examiner for you to employ. So for reading and planning overall, requirement 1, you should be able to work on requirement 1's reading and planning for 15 minutes. So if you have planned requirement 1 and 2, that's the requirement for 15 minutes and how to answer it, then your reading should be 30 minutes. So for 1 hour, which is 60 minutes, this is a broader suggestion of how to plan your reading and requirement 1 and 2. Then for calculation, you should be able to, in your appendices, perform for 30 minutes the requirement 1's calculation and the requirement 2's calculation 30 minutes. Don't exceed this time so that you have time to write. Where you are having difficulty, especially in requirement 2, to come up with the figures, do what you understand, have a basis, and please come and start writing. You can see the report writing should be minimum 2 hours. So 60 minutes for requirement 1, 60 minutes for requirement 2. It's not enough, but then you should be able to communicate your thoughts to at worst score 50. I say at worst score 50 because 50 is the benchmark, but then if you manage your time well, you score as high as 70, 80, 90. Somebody has scored as high as 96 in the case study exam. It's possible, very possible. It just depends on how you manage your time effectively and communicate your report very succinctly. Okay, so looking at the case study requirements, good preparation, which is enhanced by practice, like I will always emphasize, practice and practice and practice. For you to be able to identify relevant aspects in the scenario. Not everything is needed. Most of the stories, some are junk, but then identifying the relevant aspects of the scenario, the financial issues quickly and taking note of them, the examination will help you. And you can only do that through looking at Pathfinders and past questions. So you can't understand this on the day of the exams or 1 month to the exams. So you need to prepare well. And some of these lectures, I'm stating some of these nuggets to help you take note of these things as you practice and as you read. You'll be able to decide which tools also you should use appropriately in answering the requirements. So where the examiner does not give you or categorically direct you to use a tool, you could come up with suggestive tools to answer the requirements, and it would align practically with what the examiner has in mind. In drafting your report, you should be able to apply your analytical techniques like we've spoken to with confidence as the requirements are presented to you. So your analytical techniques is key. And the body of work in writing, when we look at how to write the report, one of the sessions is on analytical skills, how you present or tackle trend analysis, how you use models to write and apply graphically to the case. We'll be looking at that as we move ahead. So these skills, analytical communication, you should be able to develop them. They work pari passu, and they work hand in hand. They work together in synergy, and they help you present your thoughts comprehensively in the case study exams. So in taking responsibility for the skills and development program, you should identify those in your work environment who can be of help. Peers, tutors, managers, partners. If you work in an audit firm, like some of us do, if you work in maybe an internal audit unit, some of your colleagues could help you identify the areas on which to concentrate your skills or revision program. So some of these things you can leverage on them, also to bring them to bear in the case study exams. Okay, so in preparing for the case study exams, we'll look at this second to the last unit. Preparing yourself is the first section. So the first key in preparing yourself is planning. Like we saw in the reading and planning time. Now you must understand that planning is an essential prerequisite to passing case study, most especially as the exam is different from the other structures. So planning from now, we're already planning and looking at how to address the study text in these live classes. It's part of the plan. The mock exams scheduled, practice. I will also look at the pre-scene when the time comes. It's also a way to plan. A wise man said, failing to plan is planning to fail. So prepare yourself by this plan. It's not easy. Most of us came back from work and you are in this class. It's part of the plan. It's part of the sacrifice. And it's part of preparing yourself. So our advice not to miss any class if you can't. Of course, we'll try to put up the recordings on YouTube, but then the live classes are good. They help you when you come back from work, be able to take down notes. And as you listen, to help you with 1 or 2 points to remember. So planning, like I said, is essential and very important. So for the case study, it occurs throughout your professional training and it's tied to your work, wherever you are working in an accounting space. So you will have covered other, or you are integrating other courses, like we've spoken about the 4 other papers for this paper. So it's easy to compartmentalize your professional life. That means it's easy to isolate your professional life into separate areas of work. But then in the case study area, it's critical because it complements it. Your practical work life helps you align with the case study. So experience is key in preparing yourself for the case study exams. Like I said, in preparing for the case study exams, your workplace is a practical scenario you could use to leverage on your studies. So good technical and business knowledge is also the foundation. Technical and business knowledge, technicalities, understanding IFRSs, then understanding business strategies and the business environment will harness your skills and enhance your financial analysis. So the following are recommended. Please read appropriate journals like student magazines, any journals you come up, accounting journals, please read them, financial reports, they will help. Seek opportunities to practice technical skills, prepare financial statements, use softwares, and whatever opportunities are presented to you in the office, don't run away from them. Please take up challenges in the office, ask colleagues where necessary, and they will really enhance your technical and business knowledge in preparing for the case study exams. Specific exercises can be done alone or in groups. Like I saw on the platform WhatsApp, somebody was asking for a reading partner. It's very good. If you have a partner and you are dedicated to reading together, they will help culminate in making you understand these concepts and helping you target passing at first attempt. So studying in groups comprise studying financial statements prepared in your office. Like my office, I have audited financial statements, unaudited, so I study them. You can study the ones in your office. Read correspondence between your office and tax authorities, other compliance, regulatory bodies. Read any due diligence reports prepared in your office and other offices, the ones you see online in connection with business acquisition or disposals. You see, these readings broaden your horizon. They help you to understand business contexts, and in the exam, you'll be able to integrate them and synergize most of them during the exams. They help you. So reading wide is very important. It cannot be overemphasized. Reading wide helps you in the case study exams very, very well. As already introduced, sound analysis is the basis for exercising professional judgment. So you'll be able to state the problem, which is your conclusion, consider your reservations, and provide solutions, which are your recommendations, which is part of your analytical skills. Your analytical skills is be able to exercise your judgment in conclusions, reservations, and recommendations. That enhances your analytical skills, and it comes by practice. So these can be broadly divided into 2 main aspects. That is your conclusions, reservations, and recommendations, or your analytical skills generally. So a concise overview of the business. So when you're giving the case, what is the concise overview? What is the concise overview of the business? Then summarizing the business circumstances and the relevant key components of the case study issues being considered and evaluated. So this is very important. So your analytical skills should be able to, on a snapshot, as you just read through the business, you should be able to summarize the circumstances the business is facing or the issues bedeviling the business. Then the key components of the cases you've considered and evaluated. Then you will need to be able to demonstrate your understanding of where the business is placed in this life cycle. Like I said, is it a startup? Is it growing? Is it maturing? Is it declining? Do you need to close down the business? So you will need to place the business in this life cycle. And the appreciation of any obvious macroeconomic issues, that's the wider context facing the business, is very important at this point. So to do this, you should be comfortable in applying tools like the PEST tool, the SWOT, Porter 5 Forces, BCG, Ansoff, and all those tools that are in chapter 6. We'll be looking at chapter 6 and those tools, but then quickly honing those broad analysis into the specific business issues is very important. So integrating these tools and not just presenting them in silos is very important, and the tools help you to address the problem and make recommendations based on the case. And sometimes the examiner asks you to use a particular tool. He directs you to use a tool. So you need to be conversant with those tools. And in chapter 6, we'll be discussing those tools exclusively. So having assessed the wider context, you should be able to analyze key components of the specific tasks that you have been set. So you'll be able to, or you will need to select the tools if you are not expressly asked in the exams. You will need to select a tool that works or aligns with the case, incorporate relevant numerical analysis, your number crunching, your calculations, then integrate your numerical analysis into a written report. So no matter the calculations or presentation of the tools and the components of the tools, you need to write a report, a very comprehensive and cohesive report. Integrate your numerical analysis into that report to communicate to your audience or the examiner. This is key. So to develop these analytical skills, you need to make sure the material in chapter 2, we're looking at, I'm sure in the next class, financial statement analysis. That one is very, very bulky. In fact, the videos I have on YouTube that I broke into units and sessions, financial statement analysis alone has about 62 videos. So if you look at my YouTube page, on just financial analysis alone is about 62 videos. I'm not sure we can cover that in one class. So 2 hours will not cover that, but then maybe in 2 thick classes, we should be able to look at financial statement analysis, because that's predominantly what the examiner tests in requirement 1. Though there are deviations once, in some diets, but then financial statement analysis is predominantly tested, and that's the bulk of the matter. Then chapter 3 is financial data analysis, which is mostly tested in requirement 2. That one also, I'm currently shooting the videos, and from the estimation of the videos, based on the way I broke it down, I'll shoot about 67 videos for financial data analysis. So these 2 chapters are bulky, and they contain most of what the examiner tests in the exams. Also, business analysis chapter 5 is not that much, but the examiner tests that also, and it's good to have the knowledge of business, and also the tools for business analysis and performance management in chapter 6, which are the strategic management tools like the models we spoke about. So we'll be looking at that subsequently. So these analytical skills we've assessed will help you, and they are critical to your success. Okay, so the next one we'll be looking at is communication skills. It's important that you be able to communicate in a written report, communicate your thoughts. Most of the times, chartered accountants or students don't know how to write. They don't like communicating. They like calculating. Now you need to develop your communication skills in writing. It's very key to passing case study. And that really can be harnessed by practice and practice and practice. So when you practice writing reports, formal, informal, it will help you harness your communication skills. This is very important. So you should also read written reports. Like some of the past questions, I've addressed them. There are debrief sections on my YouTube page, and I also attach in the description the report. So read them, read the report. It will help you understand how to write. And as we do 1 or 2 mock exams, I'll provide the report, a specimen report. So read through, practice, write, and reports from your professional colleagues in your office, documents will help you develop this set of skills. This communication skill is very important. Read also books, motivational books. I do a lot of reading. I have a lot of books, and it has helped me and helped my communication skills in writing and also in speaking. This is very important for a chartered accountant. To succeed in life, in every venture, you need to be able to speak. For example, I report to the board of directors, so communication is essential. If you qualify as a chartered accountant, most of the times, ICAN chartered accountant presents to board of directors. Even if you are the accountant, the finance manager, you present either to your head of department or to the board. And communication skills is a requirement. If you cannot communicate effectively, I'm sorry, you won't be able to attract or provide solutions or add value to the business where you are. So it's key for you to develop your communication skills. It cannot be overemphasized, not just for case study exams, but for real life application. So it's very important to also practice writing reports. You may find that it's not easy to express complex ideas or thoughts you have in a clear and unambiguous way to a client. But then practice and practice and practice is essential. If you look at these sportsmen, the footballers, now, no matter how you teach a footballer and speak to him by the coach, if he doesn't play the ball, he doesn't know it. That's the truth. So it's the same thing with case study. No matter what I say, the live classes, the mock exams, you read it. If you don't do it, you cannot know it. You cannot pass the exam. So take note of it. So no matter how you listen to lectures, no matter how you listen to mock exams, or even read reports, if you don't practice writing it, it's going to be complicated. You're going to find the exam very challenging. I've had people write it 4 or 5 times. Why? Because they just feel, on the exam day, I'll go and do it. No. Case study is not like that. You have to practice writing the report, and you'll be able to communicate your thoughts or ideas seamlessly. And in fact, as you are writing the report, you are practicing, you find out, oh, wow, I don't know this, and you begin to learn. You cannot learn on the exam day. It's catastrophic to learn on the exam day. It can be depressing. So please take note of that and ensure that you practice, and I'm here to support you. So there'll be many examples of the different types of report in your office, in the past questions, in the Pathfinders. Like I said, there's 21 editions, and there are a lot of reports on them. I've addressed about 5 to 10 of them. No, okay, let me say 5 to 7 on my YouTube page, and you can download the reports to read and practice also on your own, aside the mock exam practice we'll be doing. So as well as practicing report writing, ask your colleagues, ask professionals you know, maybe not in your office, about how they devise the format, the context, and the style of report. So when you ask these questions, if you ask me, I'll tell you how I write my reports. I can also give you PowerPoint slides of my reports. I do risk, compliance, and internal audits where I work currently. I can share my reports to you for you to have a grasp and understanding of how the reports are. So it's about learning, a lifelong way of learning. A wise man, Henry Ford, the owner of Ford Motor, says he made a quote that resonates, and it's a global quote. He said, the day you stop learning, you start dying. And the day you start dying is the day you stop learning. So that quote resonates, and it applies graphically here. So you need to learn. You need to keep learning. Open your mind to learning. And in the context of the case study, that's the only way you can ace it seamlessly. So learn how to write report, ask questions, ask people. I'm always open, except if I'm busy. If you chat me up about something, I'll respond immediately. Some of the ACAs that have passed through and they are still with me can attest to that. Okay, so in communicating, in harnessing your communication skills, avoid informal, especially text kind of write-ups, abbreviations that are not formal. Avoid them when writing your case study report. We'll be looking at formal structures subsequently. So from previous case study exams and what the examiner has noted, following the identification of issues, regularly distinguishing people that pass case study and those that failed. Now, it's not in no particular order, but here are top common mistakes or case study differentiators. I think this will be the last session or the last part of preparing for the exams we'll be looking at in this unit. So there are top critical success factors for those that have written the paper. Some of these top 10, please take note of them as we discuss them. Number one, good planning and strict time management to ensure the whole examination is completed. So planning is very important, and it can only be enhanced during practice. Your time management skills is enhanced when you write the exam under time conditions. But sometimes some people will address requirement 1 and not attempting requirement 2. You have slim chances of passing. So if you do only requirement 1, you are practically disobeying the examiner by not attempting requirement 2. At least write something on requirement 2. So it's very important. So some people ask me, I'll be like, if I do requirement 1 and I don't do requirement 2, can I pass? I'll be like, the answer is yes and no. Yes, well, if you are lucky, and luck hardly applies or happens in case study. No, in the sense that you disobeyed the examiner by not attempting requirement 2. So please plan your time very well and make sure you complete both of them. You may not complete it, but at least attempt requirement 2. Most of the time, people have time for requirement 1 and overflog requirement 1, and they ignore requirement 2 because of time. So please, good planning and strict time management by practice, writing it by yourself, doing mock exams will help you very, very much. Then the next point is good quality written financial statement analysis that explain the financial story or the facts derived from the financial information to the appropriate audience. So quality of report is it's a product of quality of practice and how you've learned to communicate your thoughts in the back scene. So most of what the footballers do is they practice a lot for days for a match of maybe 90 minutes. But he has been practicing for 1 month. That is not sin, but the day of the match for 90 minutes, he's sin. So a good report or a good quality report from the backstage has been practiced. Like we are starting now. Some people have started reading since January, February, March, April for just the 4-hour exams or exam. So that explains that quality of what you do is from the efforts you have put in and to help you communicate these financial thoughts to your appropriate audience. So the next point is a good quality financial data analysis properly explained to the intended audience, and quality financial appendices cross-referenced in the body of the report. So as you've done your calculations, you should be able to reference them by saying see appendix 1, see appendix 2, see appendix 3, like that. So we'll be looking at that as we continue or as we get to the point where it's necessary. All right, so the appropriate use of relevant materials from the case scenario is also necessary. So in writing your report, you need to use some data from the exhibits. It mustn't be the calculation. So some exhibits, you could just coin them, and we'll be looking at how to do that. And you get your marks. Just transcribing or copy and pasting what is on the exhibit to your report will earn you marks at some point. So development was also development of analysis through judgment and conclusions and recommendations is very important. So if you don't conclude and recommend based on your discussions, your calculations, the chances of passing case study is slim, because your conclusion and recommendations must be in separate headers. We'll look at that as we go ahead. Okay, an absence of irrelevant materials and answers to non-existent questions. So there are a lot of irrelevant materials or what you will not need in the case study exhibits. So the skill to be able to point them out, identify them, and ignore them is important here. References to appropriate economic and industry factors, including ethical issues. Ethical issues carry 10% of the marks of the exams, and if you don't point out ethical issues in a separate header, the chances of passing case study is very slim. If I won't say it's impossible. So please take note of that. Ethical issues must be provided in the case study exams. Also, demonstration of professional skepticism in the ethical header. I will be showing us the format subsequently. And the ability to challenge assumptions is also a key skill. the application of common sense is also allowed to ensure proposals are reasonable. So common sense is good, though it's not common, but then if you provide common sense in the exam, your proposals and they are reasonable, the examiner will then give you your marks. Okay, so I think that will be the end of chapter 1. We still have 10 minutes. I ran very fast actually, but then it's good. I hope some of us are not sleeping because let me see how many people are already are still on the call. Okay, we still have 4 people. That's very good.
Well, with you.
Yeah. Thank you, ACA. That's nice. I could see that. It's nice to hear that. So, having spoken, we have 10 more minutes or 9 more minutes. I'm glad we didn't overshoot 10 o'clock so that we can rest. Tomorrow is work. Me, I'm still in the office. I didn't go home so that my kids will not disturb me at home. I'll be able to concentrate.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sorry for the stress.
Thank you for the sacrifice, sir.
You're welcome, ACA. It's my pleasure. The pleasure is mine. You're welcome. So in the next 9 minutes.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome, ACA. Okay, so in the next 9 minutes, can we take questions? Can I take questions for this chapter 1? Because we are done with chapter 1, which is good. Can we take questions? Do you have any questions, gray areas? We have 9 minutes, so let's address them. Any questions?
Mine is not your question, sir.
Okay.
I just need your YouTube, is it name? YouTube channel, so I can watch some of the videos you've been referring to.
Okay, fantastic. So my YouTube channel is just Gabriel Josiah. You see Case Study Insights. So I do case study and I do I do advanced audit and assurance. So currently I have chapter 1 and chapter 2, then 2 videos on chapter 3. So if you type Gabriel Josiah, just my name, you'll see it, Case Study Insights. So maybe on the WhatsApp platform, you can just ask me for the link. Just type on the WhatsApp platform or type me privately. I'll just send the link to you.
You sent the link, sir.
Yes.
Exactly. The link on
the platform.
No, I just joined yesterday, so I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's true. Aisha is just joining yesterday. She's new, so we need to navigate her through.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, ACA. All right. I hope that addresses your question, Aisha.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Fantastic. All right. Any other question? Julie is muted. Nuru is muted. I hope they are not sleeping. I know a lot of people.
I'm not awake. Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening, ACA. That's nice to hear. How's work today?
Yes. Very well. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So any questions?
Good evening.
Good evening, Noah. How you doing?
All right. So any other questions so that we can close and rest? We don't have any questions apart from that.
Sorry, sir. When is the next class, sir?
Okay, on Thursday. So we'll be looking at chapter 2. I'm not sure with the volume of chapter. Yes, Thursday by 8 to 10. So Saturday we'll be able to share the modalities of the mock exam. So Saturday we should look at November 2014. So what we'll do is we'll share the question. So maybe Saturday, Sunday within the week you should be able to write your report. Let's look at, for some of us that are attempting it, for those that are first-time writers, let's start with the mock exams. As the lectures are going on, let's see how to harness our skills and help us with the mock. So by Saturday, Sunday, we'll provide the November 2024 past questions, and let's see how to address it. Maybe upper weekend, we can now do the live class to address the requirements and look at the report proper. I think that should work for us, right?
So, sir, if I get you right, we have classes on Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
No. Saturday, Sunday, some people have live class, like Julie has live classes, so she may not be even be around Saturday, Sunday. And it's good for you to have Saturday, Sundays to yourself to read and do other things. So what I'm saying is Saturday, Sunday, we may address the mock exam. So what you do is you write the mock, snap it and send to me. I'll give us the modalities of that. Then based on our convenience. Yeah, so based on our convenience, we'll now choose a time. It could be evening, it could be morning, or Saturday or Sunday, anytime convenient for us to look at the past question, but it's not a strict time that, okay, this is the lecture. Because I also do physical classes in Kano here. So I may not have time to, but that will be arranged because we will need to look at the past questions and the report that I've written, because I'll provide the report and give us to look at it. So we need to address it in a debrief session as convenient for us here, as convenient. So answering your questions, our question is here, Aisha, is not, we don't have classes Saturday, Sunday. Let me answer it like that.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
You're welcome. Pleasure is mine. Julie was trying to say something before I interjected. Juliana, are you trying to say something?
No, I wasn't. No, I'm just listening.
Okay,
No.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so on Thursday, 8 to 10, we'll be looking at financial data analysis. I'm not sure we'll conclude, even though I'll try to rush. But financial data analysis is bulky, and where it comes to ratio analysis, we'll do calculations and also use examples to simulate those ratios. So it's not just knowing the formula, it's how to calculate them and also what it means. We'll also apply the formula. So you have 5 broad types of ratios. You have profitability, liquidity, efficiency, leverage, and investment. So those 5 ratios are bulky. So we'll need time to address financial statement analysis. So maybe 2 or 3 classes if we're able to conclude on chapter 2, and we'll start on Thursday. Okay, so any other question, contribution? We have 3 more minutes. Nuru has not spoken. I hope Nuru has not slept off. Is Nuru on the call?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay, fantastic. You've not said anything. I believe you understood all we said.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. That's good. So like somebody suggested, we'll also put this live video on YouTube if you need to go back to it. But then the slide is just directly what is on the case study text. So the slide, if you want it, I can share it with you, but it's the same case study text. I just bolded the fonts so that you can use your phone, so that you'll be able to read through with your phone. But it's the same thing that is in the ICAN case study text. So you may not need the slides that I presented with. Okay, so we have 2 more minutes. I think I've talked a lot today. So I think I'll call it an evening, and I'll say do have a lovely night rest.